Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 580 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Eilon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our sixth book just came out. It's called I'm So Beautiful, It's Ridiculous: Unleashing and Promoting Strength, Self-Worth, and Real Sisterhood. So go and pick up that book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble today. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there is nothing like great food to bring fraternity and sorority leaders together, as well as college students together. Fun fact, I've had a number of different jobs in a number of different industries. I've done accounting work, collections work, and fraternity and sorority life work. There are jobs that I wish I would have been hired for that I didn't get the job, and there are jobs that I left that were just not really a good fit for me. Just know that you will go through a series of jobs in your life that will get you one step closer to knowing what you were put on this earth to do.
Yeah.
Just be patient in the process. Listen to those inner gut feelings that you get and put yourself in situations where you can grow as a person. To talk more about jobs and careers on our podcast today, let's talk to our next guest. Here's a quote that I thought summed it up very, very, very well. Sheila Donnell has had careers in and out of 5 industries, from California to Japan to New York. She has a message of hope and determination for anyone who wants to make a career switch or how to start over. She offers many lessons on being flexible and asking the right questions. So instead of ending up in a job you don't want, you will land in a job you will love. And that, of course, was from Jack Canfield, the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul book series, very popular series. Welcome to the show, and also the author, by the way, of You're Fired, You're Hired, Sheila Donnell.
Hi,
It is
I'm
great to have you.
Sheila Donnell. It's great to be here with you, Mike.
Sheila Donnell. See, I have to get the pronunciation right. See, I
Well,
make mistakes.
it's Scotch instead of Irish.
See, and that's the problem. See, my wife is Irish, so I immediately go with Irish. But there you go. It's the Nell.
Who knew?
All right, very good. So you decided on Cal Poly San Luis Obispo for your undergraduate experience. I'm wondering, for all of our college student listeners out there, why did you choose Cal Poly?
Well, that was it was after a detour, I must say. Thinking we were going to be on the phone and wanting to make sure I covered everything, I wrote it down. So I'm going to read it to you today.
Hmm.
Growing up in Southern California, I had way too much fun in high school. And I endured a miserable home life and was a frequent runaway. I got C's in both Spanish and geometry. The second time I took them, I got C, meaning I got D's the first round.
Mhm.
Still, I did graduate from high school in 1960. Mind you, that was 60 years ago, I'm realizing now. Horrified. But I had the gall to apply to USC and the University of Arizona. Of course, I was soundly rejected. And my distraught mother, she was just so horrified. At least she thought maybe she could make a lady out of her daughter by sending her to Boston to what had been a finishing school. I spent 2 years refreshing my knowledge of what was expected to be a lady and flirting with the Ivy League men. I did move on, and wanting to be back in California, I transferred to Cal Poly. Well, Cal Poly was an ag and engineering school, but they also had home ec. And this was the 1960s. That's one of the things women did in those days.
Mhm.
So I majored in home ec, but Cal Poly was where there were 4,000 men, 1,000 women, and they used to say the sheep were nervous. Somehow I managed to graduate in 1964, nevertheless. And that's how I ended up at Cal Poly.
That is a great, great story. Very, very well done. And the odds were in your favor at Cal
Well, I
Poly.
had a grand time as well.
I
I
bet you
did
did.
graduate, but it wasn't with honors by any means.
But you had a spectacular time. There's no question in my
Always,
mind.
I still do, Mike, no matter what.
That's really great. Now, you've had a very interesting career journey, just looking at the various industries that you've worked in over your lifetime. Can you share with our audience a little bit about your professional path and what kept you adaptable through all of it?
Well, first, no credit is given, really, should be given. In fairness, I just lazily went with the wind. I was very fortunate. In retrospect, I realized four of my careers I fell into because somebody suggested I look at it.
Mm.
And I discovered when an opportunity lands in your lap, look at it. And that's one of my big suggestions. And I want to encourage people to do that. So often we go, oh, well, that's nothing. I can't do that. Or I don't know them. I don't trust them. Check it out. You never know. I was lucky. In 1999, I was with American Express, but actually I was with the Boston company. American Express bought my division of the Boston company, and I was let go. But the good news was I got a year's package, including medical.
Mm.
And just a week later, I slipped on the ice, messed up my knee. So I was home bruising the want ads, as that's what people did in 1980.
Mhm.
This is 1989. And I came across an ad for teaching English in Japan. But I speak English. I've never been to Japan. Oh, check that out. And I bet they could use somebody with my capital markets financial experience. Well, then, I had no knowledge about Japan. Idiocy, idiocy. So I took myself to Tokyo, and it turned out I was shunned. Nobody would even rent me an apartment. A white woman in her late 40s all by herself. Oh, that's strange. I was really suspect. So I dug in and I studied the culture and I networked my brains out in the international community, which is sizable in Tokyo. And I came across an opportunity. The Japanese executives wanted to learn how to conduct meetings efficiently in English and how to do public speaking. And I thought, hey, I've been doing that for a long time. I can teach them that. I started a business, I called it the International Executive, and it was so successful. I was there 9 years, Mike.
Wow.
So I was just lucky. Again, there were people I met in Tokyo who suggested this was a need. And some of them, there were a lot of corporate executives, US corporate executives there. And I was very active in the was called College Women of Japan, which was people from all over the world, mostly Japanese.
Mm.
And I played bridge at the Tokyo American Club, and I was in the Foreign Executive Women, and I joined Toastmasters and just met everybody who, most of them were international, but a lot of the people in these organizations were Japanese. Well, I also became very active in the American Chamber of Commerce there. And we had 3,000 members and change. I became membership chairman. And then I was the first white woman on the board. And I thought that was really a coup.
Wow, good for
So
you.
when I was Foreign Executive Woman of the Year one year, I was just really active and I had fun and I loved the Japanese culture. And that's what I did. That's a long
Amazing.
version. Sorry to go on about
No, good for you. It sounds like quite an adventure
it.
and
It
being at the
was.
right place at the right time. I mean, there was a need clearly for 9 years for somebody to work with these execs. So good for you. Fantastic. Now, you've also been writing. The book is called You're Fired, You're Hired. What message do you hope resonates most with your Gen Z readers?
Life does not come in primary colors.
Mm.
By discussing openly my aberrant childhood and uneven career path, my goal is to give hope and encouragement and oomph to those who do find themselves in a slump. And most people go through that sometime along their life. And it's a shame when they have to do it when they're first graduating from college, but they're going to get rejected. And as you mentioned earlier, some of their friends are going to get a job first.
Mhm.
Maybe they got that job, they accepted a job too soon. Nevertheless, I say when somebody does get a job and you don't go kicking the wall. Say, hey to yourself, maybe they took the job too soon. I'm being thorough. I'm going to really be sure I land in a career that I'm going to love. So, yes, it hurts. I understand. But you can set your mind to do anything you want if you're really determined. And I want to hold your hand while you do that. Michael Jordan said, I have failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeeded.
Yep.
So I failed, and as I'll mention somewhere along the lane, okay, I think when you fail, you have to cry, kick, and spit and pout for a while. Then you need to put on your big girl pants, your big boy pants, and get to work and get determined. I can go where I want to go and do and be and have whatever I want. And don't give up the focus. And I love encouraging people to do that. When I was in Tokyo, one of the things I did was I helped other foreign people in Japan develop some skin and some determination because it was a very difficult culture. They're just now becoming not quite so xenophobic because their population, unlike many, their population is decreasing. So they're becoming more open now.
Mm-hmm.
But in 1990, they weren't having it unless they could make money working for companies where I taught them, Merrill Lynch, capital markets. I worked at Merrill Lynch. I did work for Goldman Sachs. I did work for Citibank, a lot of work for Exxon. I did some work for Mitsubishi as well, but the Japanese would call me and they say, Sheila, come spend a day with 50 of our people who are each going to overseas to a different country and train them how to operate internationally. So I did that a few times and it was just so unsatisfying because these poor people, they're all men, of course. But I felt so bad for them because a day was not enough to help prepare them to operate in an international environment. Public speaking, conducting meetings. But anyway, so I focused more on the American companies and I did very well with them. That's, again, a long way to go. Losing a job can feel like the end of the world.
Yeah. So
And
what should we do? I mean, how should a student reframe that if they lose their job and then turn that into more opportunities?
well, as I said, first of all, go ahead and kick and spit for a bit.
Hmm.
Till you can get over it. Eat
Hmm.
a lot of ice cream, whatever you want to do.
Hmm.
But then focus on what you really, really want. And I always say, ask yourself the 5 W's. And I'm sure they've been through all that, the who, what, why, when, where, and how. And when we have time, we can go through the details of those questions. But it's really important to think about what you want, where you want to go, who you want to be with, and where you want to live. Do you want to work down the street? Do you want to go to another city, another state, another country? What do you really do, be, have, live? So that'd be some of the 5 W's. Be alert and open to every suggestion that comes your way. As I said, that's how I got 4 of my 5 careers. It was just somebody said, hey, if you talk to so-and-so, what about this? And be creative in where you look.
Hmm.
You don't have to stay boxed in to whatever field you majored in. You have a lot of other assets and you have a lot of other skills. And I would encourage you to sit down and write down all the other things that you like to do. Most important, what do you love to do? What did you do in the 8th grade? Think about that. What did you love doing in the 8th grade? Maybe you can make a living doing that.
Hmm.
I loved public speaking in the 8th grade, believe it or not. And sure enough, that's how I made my career.
Hmm. Very good. Great
So I,
advice.
uh, and when they tell you no, no doesn't mean no. It might lead to yes. If it's something you really want, don't give up.
hmm Well, that's easy to say not to give up. I mean, a lot of times people will apply for jobs and they might face rejection for months, maybe even years. Do you have any advice in terms of staying motivated through that process and remaining hopeful?
Well, I would suggest get another job. I don't care if you're mowing lawns or waiting tables, but keep active, keep busy,
hmm
and it'll look better on your resume than a dead 6 months.
hmm
So, and look outside your field. Step outside of the box. Look outside of the box. Stretch, reach, hang in there. Don't give up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
really
always
good.
say every no means getting closer to a yes.
Right. 100%. 100% agree with that. You also mentioned asking the right questions to avoid ending up in a job that you absolutely hate. So, talk about some questions that students should be asking themselves before they say yes to that job offer.
Let's see, I even have a little list here ready for you on that, I think. Didn't I bring that? I didn't really bring it out here, but um, who? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to work for? What kind of person do you want to work for? What kind of personality do you want to work for? What kind of business? Now, you may be an engineer, but there are a lot of different kinds of companies that hire engineers. As you know, of course, you know that engineers know better than I do. There are a lot of different segments within engineering. Well, what specialty do you like? I was talking to a man the other day who said that he loved spending years and years working on one tiny little, what was it, one tiny little form of bacteria to identify a little bit about it. And I tried to explain to him, no matter what you do, you're helping other people. And when you help other people, that makes you feel productive. He said, well, I wasn't helping anybody. I said, yeah, you were helping people identify that particular little bit or whatever, bacteria or whatever it was. It was way over my head.
Mhm.
I'm totally a right brain. I don't get, as I said, I basically failed Spanish and geometry, but I can sew. I can draw little pictures. Everybody has their corner. And I want to help people identify really, where are you? What do you really, really love to do? How can you make money doing that?
Mhm.
And back to the eighth grade thing that you loved. So let's see, what else? Who, what, when, why? Why do you want to work in that industry? Why wouldn't you look somewhere else? And again, if something comes your way that's out of your bailiwick, check it out.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
might just be a good fit.
Yeah.
Who, what, when do you want to start? When, who, what, when, why? Did I already say that? Why? And how? Oh, who do you want to work for? What kind of personality do you want to work for? What kind of company? And then you've got to start asking yourself, how can I help them be successful?
Mhm.
Because if I help my boss and his boss and the company make more money, it's all about the bottom line, no matter how you look at it.
Mhm.
But how can I help them produce more?
Yep.
That would make me
Absolutely.
feel better. It also may give me a raise.
100%. It's always about them. And, I think it's college students especially, they like to talk about themselves and how qualified they are when they're meeting a business owner. But if you shift, you just do a little bit of a shift and you basically put it on them and you say, how can I help you to make
Yes.
more money or be more successful? And then they start talking about maybe problems that they're having in the business. And then you can diagnose that and show how your skills will help them to make more money. Now you're starting to create that system of really showing how you can take whatever skills you have and then use it for their success. It's all about them. It's less about you. So the more you think
That's the
about that,
second set. I have two sets of five W's and how.
yeah,
One is asking yourself questions. The
right.
second one is asking questions of and to the potential employer.
100%. Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. But that clarity on what you want absolutely is valuable as well. And you've done some very creative things in your life, certainly non-traditional career paths. I mean, going to Japan and teaching English and teaching public speaking is not what anybody would call traditional. I mean, that's definitely out of the box. So, what are some creative career paths that you think that college students often overlook, but they shouldn't?
Well, I mentioned one already. You don't have to stay in the same field
Hmm.
where you get your degree.
Right.
Um, and don't immediately reject ideas that come your way that are out of your immediate framework. Look at it and think about how you might fit into it if it appeals to you. And of course, if it doesn't appeal to you, don't mess with it, but move on. Um, and again, think about what you really like in the eighth grade.
Hmm.
There are a couple of really great books. The, the college kids would probably think they were ancient. They were written in the 1980s. One is called Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow. The other one is called What Color is Your Parachute? And both of them focus on what is kind of my theme. If you love it, go for it. If it doesn't appeal to you, move on.
Yeah, those are great books. Absolutely classics. But also think about what are you good at too. I mean, there's a lot of people
Yes.
that audition for that music show, American Idol. You might have seen a couple of those episodes, and they all think that they're the greatest singers in the world. And then they go and they open their mouth, and you're like, wow, what what kind of an abomination singer is this? So make sure that, A, it's something you enjoy, but B, that it's something that you're really good at. And then C, of course, is the money factor, right? Can I actually make a living doing this or not? So I think those are three really critical questions that you want to be asking. But really great stuff and definitely a lot of fun. You and I, we came from a generation where people often would have jobs and they would stay with the same company their entire lives and they would
Yes.
get this pension, that doesn't even exist anymore, but like this pension for working for, IBM for, 80 years. So, and according to the latest studies, Gen Z might change jobs 8 to 20 times in their lifetime. So, how should today's students think about things like loyalty and growth and change in the modern workplace?
Well, first, in fairness, I think some of those job changes you may be between jobs. So you may be mowing lawns or waiting tables or babysitting, house sitting. That may be counted in the statistics. In fact, my understanding is the Board of Labor Statistics doesn't even do it anymore the last couple of years because it's so fluid
Mm.
and could be so many different kinds of jobs. Those aren't necessarily all career opportunities. So I digressed here. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I was just wondering how
Um,
should students think about things like loyalty and growth and
oh,
change in today's modern workplace?
um, I think first of all, they have to think about what is good for them.
Mm.
Yes, they need to be loyal, but your job is to take care of you first and then decide about your loyalty to a company. And I would discuss it with them. Tell them, hey, this isn't working out for me. Is there anything I can do? Anything we can do together to make my path more positive? But first of all, take care of you.
Mhm.
Don't let anybody put you down ever. Keep moving on, keep going forward,
Yeah, we
and
appreciate
don't
that.
give up
Right.
in following your dream and following what you want to do, what feels good for you.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I think all of that's important, but there are things that are happening right now in the labor market that are just what I would call unpredictable. I mean, if you look at like the federal government as an example, you have mass cuts that are happening within the federal government jobs. I know my daughter, she's in college right now. She would love to be a diplomat, working for the federal government for a South American country, talking about human rights and voting rights and all of the things. And that's wonderful. But if, the trend right now is to cut government jobs, that job might not be available. So how can today's college students prepare when the job market is so unpredictable currently, but
Right.
still stay true to what they want and what they're passionate about?
Wow, they just got to explore lots of opportunities. Um, I remember I wanted to join the Peace Corps, and my
Mhm.
stuffy mother was horrified, and she forbid it. I'd filled out all the applications, and they had to contact her and ask her, and she said, absolutely not. I don't, I don't know that options like that are even a good route anymore because the government is not supporting things like that, at least not for the next 3.5 years. It appears they're not. Um, it's really a trick, and I don't feel like I have an answer to help them. You just got to be flexible and look everywhere and be open. Um, when I was going through a divorce and I was just a mess. I had anorexia. I'd just gotten fired from a job. I deserved to be fired. I was an interior decorator and I had done very well. Then I went into interior design, which required drafting and designing cubicles for 100 people on the floor. And I said, no, no, I want to design the president's office. I don't want to mess with that. Well, anyway, I got fired. So I was going through a divorce and I had anorexia and I was just a mess. And friends came to me one day and they said, Sheila, the golf pro at Oakmont Country, I was in Pittsburgh, at Oakmont, needs a shop girl. Go talk to him. He hired me. I was a sales girl. I was, I had a ball. It was a departure. The people there were all kind. They were all men, not all, and they were all kind to me. So I kind of lightened up a little bit. One day, a golfer came into the shop, and I knew he was a real serious type. And so he was fussing with a putter, and I was folding shirts. And he put a piece of paper on the counter. He said, Sheila, go talk to John. Here's his number. He's at the Capital Markets, Merrill Lynch Capital Markets downtown. I said, Stan, what are the capital markets? Just go talk to John. Well, I did. They trained me. I passed all 5 exams and I sold fixed income products very successfully. And, and so friends told me about the job selling shirts at the golf shop. Golfer came in. And side note, that Stan was Stan Druckenmiller, who is the right hand. All of a sudden, I'm drawing a blank. Huge Democratic supporter and did hedge funds manager.
Nice.
And he's now retired, but he's a very famous financial manager. Stan Druckenmiller is his name. So, I mean, it was just right place, right time, lucky, jump on it,
Yeah,
check it out,
sometimes it's just being at the
do
right
your
place at the right
homework.
time. Yeah,
You got to do the homework. Um,
absolutely.
I know we're running out of time. I don't want to. I think your last question was, what is one thing students can do this week to ignite their career?
Yeah, what can they do? Give them advice.
I have 7 ideas.
All right.
um, Focus on helping someone else get what they need and want. Numerous famous people have expressed that's how they became successful. Uh, Number 2, my observation has been if you're one of the rare kids who had a smooth childhood, unless daddy is going to get you a job, you might need to toughen up in preparation for potential rejection. As I had several friends who were in that situation, and they just fell apart when all of a sudden the road wasn't smooth anymore. So I would say really toughen yourself up a little bit. Um, my observation is, I guess those are the only two. It's not always what you know, but it's often who you know.
Hmm.
As I mentioned, just casual acquaintances can lead one thing to another to another. And let everyone be aware that you're looking for an opportunity and tell them, this is what I love to do. I love to help people. I can
Hmm.
help them do this. I can help them do that.
Yeah.
Um,
That's excellent. That's really good. I know a lot of our listeners are on LinkedIn. That's a really great place. If you're looking for a job, just make a post in your feed. Talk about the stuff that you love to do and that you're open to opportunities. So if anybody knows of any opportunities along those lines, to contact you, and you just never know. So the key is, yes, knowing the right people is really important, but also the people who you know, they have to know what kind of opportunity you're looking for, right? So that's the
Yeah.
other piece to this equation. It's not always, who you know or what you know. It's also, do the people who know what you want? So
And having a positive attitude,
yes.
determination, and resilience, and don't let them get you down. You got what it takes. You know you do. You just have to determine where to put yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Now, I do love good food here at the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. That's my weakness, is going out for really good food. So I'm wondering, if I want a great bite to eat in Sarasota, Florida, is there a place that you like to go?
Oh, Mike, there are so many wonderful. I think of Sarasota as a mini Manhattan, and I lived in Manhattan at one point and loved it.
Same.
Um, it's too cold there now for me. Sarasota, I live within 10 minute walking distance of over 2 dozen great restaurants.
Mhm.
My favorite is a 5 minute drive away, and it's called Indigenous. And I, I think it may even be healthy, healthy type food, but it's just fabulous. It's a little pricey.
Mhm.
There are so many. There's one called Arts and Central that's 5 minutes away. Every um, race, creed, religion that you can imagine offers a restaurant here. For a college kid, there's one place called Sheila V, which is a nice little French restaurant that has great brunches and pastries.
Nice.
Um, a kitty corner across the street, there's kind of a pricier French restaurant. There are lots of Italian restaurants, and Duval's is a famous fish restaurant. Um, I like Dry Dock, which is actually in Longboat. Um, I could go on and on, Mike. There's so many great restaurants in Sarasota. I'm a theater lover, and I can walk to 7 different theaters from where I live.
Good for you. You're in the right
Yeah.
place. No question about it. I do love Manhattan too. I was born in New York City in Manhattan at Mount Sinai Hospital. So I still go back, even though the weather can be a little bit brutal in the wintertime. I'll still go back, mostly in the summers though, because the weather's a bit better.
Yeah, I just loved living there. It was pricey, but I'd moved there from Tokyo.
Yeah.
And as a single woman, I had no credit in the United States. I'd been out of the US for 9 years.
Yeah.
Nobody rent to me.
Huh.
I said, what do you mean you're not going to rent to me? I was just incensed. And I looked at several apartments and finally I went to a realtor and he said, Sheila, get over it. Nobody's going to rent to you in Manhattan. I said, oh, yes, they are. Keep showing me those apartments.
We're gonna find somebody.
I had done well in Tokyo. So at one point I found one. I just loved it. It was on 67th and Madison.
Yeah.
And I said, tell that landlord I'll give him 6 months up front. By golly, I had that apartment in an
Of
hour.
course you did. Money talks.
You just got to get feisty sometimes, Mike, especially if you're a woman.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
that
I
was
understand.
1999.
Good for you getting what you want. I think it's
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal, and you figured out a way to make it all work. So, congratulations on a lifetime of success. And thank you so much for sharing all of those stories with our college student listeners. I think they're going to really enjoy your perspective. And of course, they should go out and pick up that book. I think is going to be really
Not
important.
yet.
When is it coming out? When is it going to be ready?
I hope the end of fall. But
End
I've
of
been so
fall.
busy trying to sell it that I haven't been writing the last few weeks.
Oh, yeah, you need to get back to writing. But the name
I
of the
gotta
book,
finish it and get it out there.
yeah, you got to finish
Yes.
it. It's called You're Fired, You're Fired, You're Hired. Go and pick that up. Sheila Donnell, please go and check out that book when it's ready this fall. Is that a deal, Sheila? Sounds good?
Oh, that's great. And meanwhile, and training, seminars, whatever, whatever
That's
people are interested in that arena.
Where should they go in order to get the training seminars with you? How do they connect with you?
s.donnell@comcast.net or
There you go.
LinkedIn or Facebook.
There you go. Also, check her out on LinkedIn, Sheila Donnell, spelled Donnell. Thank you, Sheila, for spending time with us today.
Mike, it's a thrill to be with you. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
You're
I
very
really
welcome.
look forward to visiting with the graduating students, the undergraduate students.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation with Sheila, I want you to like it on social media and I want you to share it with other college students that are also interested in their careers and getting their dream job when they graduate. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Bye for now.